Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and we're back again with another episode of the Ultimate Track Guide series. Yes, I know what you're thinking, you've done this one already, Matt. We've done it in GT4, and as per last week, a lot of requests to do it in GT3. So we're back again in the Lexus, preparing for the ACR League, and we'll take you through the lap. As usual, the tune will be available below. Feel free to donate if you want. It's not compulsory at all, but you know, if you want to, feel free. And as always, subscribe if you really like the videos. Hit the like button as well if you want. So let's dive in. Really technical lap this. A lot of fast flowing corners that come at you super quick. It's definitely a flow circuit. If you're in the rhythm, if you're in the zone, it's really a track that you can attack well. But if you're not, it's difficult to get back in that zone. So looking at the first corner, then you're graced with this brilliant dark tarmac area, unless you're on a sort of green circuit. But just before the sign on the left-hand side, you've got this sort of a blue zone there. We're going to be braking just after the start of this darker area, and it's really important. I'm going to highlight this. We're going to go through it a couple of times actually. I can't stress enough the amount that you need to start trail braking in this game. Just holding on to the brake a little bit, and then later power than you probably would do there. Have another look at that in a second, but remember you can also go really wide on this first corner. A lot of people forget, and I'll pause a lot of these corners on the outside of them, which you may find strange, but a lot of people forget on Hungaroring that you can actually run a lot wider than you can, or that you think you can. And that saves you, or it gains you, a lot of time. So let's look into this braking zone then. Again, just holding onto the brake a little bit longer, just keeping the weight on the nose of the car, which helps it rotate round. Let's have another once more. Let's slow it down this time. So we're on full brake, we're on 100%, and as we start to turn, we're coming off the brake nicely, and we just that sort of 10%, just a split second, and that's all it needs for these slower corners here at Hungary, first corner of Kyalami, that sort of thing. We're straight into this second corner after a little bit of a break, and again we're looking to start braking just after the start of this curb on the right hand side, the red and white curbing, and you're aiming to almost double apex this unless you can keep it really tight, and there's a few little quirks with this corner. You need to dive into it. You actually start braking and turning essentially at the same time, and again you're coming off the brake as you're starting to turn more. And another thing as well, when you put the power down on this corner, it's so crucial that you get it down smoothly, and I've got a little bit of a tip which we'll look at again now to go through that. So you're braking down. Watch my power as I start to come out the corner. I'm in first gear, I put the power down and then immediately flick up to second. So that gets the back of the car rotated nicely, but then you're in second to curve that torque so you don't spin out around the corner, and away, try and avoid the curve a little bit more than I did to get those sparks flying, and away up the hill. Whew, a lot to take in for the first sector. Let's just have another look at it in full time and remember some of the things we've talked about. So trail braking into this first corner and the second corner, using the rotation from the power to get the back end round, and the fact that you can run a little bit wider, especially coming out this first corner. So nice and early on the power, get the car straight as possible. You're aiming virtually to change gear into second from first to second when you're on the green Astra on the outside. Turn and brake at the same time, almost double apex if you can. A little bit of power, make sure you're smooth, and when you're straight you're full power, and again just have the balls go full power around this right hander. Even if you hit the curb on the inside, you'll be absolutely fine. So again from above, just look at the angle that I attack this first corner, because it's I guess it's not completely conventional. Braking just before that sign, we actually turn in a little bit earlier than most people would, and we're on the power later than potentially some people would be there as well, but because we've used that trail braking, the front of the cars come round really nicely. Again, this one you can double apex it more than I do. I tend to stay a little bit inside of that sort of dark tarmac area that the game thinks is the racing line, but that's just my personal preference. You may be extremely different. So up the hill into this incredibly quick left-hander, and again you're almost turning right into the braking zone here. We're still on full power, going to be braking maybe sort of a couple of feet into this curbing on the right hand side. And as soon as we start braking, it's just a quick dab of the brakes, down a couple of gears, and you're going to throw the car in. You just absolutely just throw it in. Doesn't matter if you hit the curb on the inside really, but before you get to the curb you need to be on the power, because that's what's going to rotate your car around. A lot of setups, including mine, which you're going to be downloading from SetSpace, have quite a high preload differential here, which means the back end of the car is going to fly round. quickly over to the left-hand side of the track, but again, you can see we're turning right before we hit this blue zone, which is it's a lovely marker, actually, this one. The track goes incredibly dark, and we're going to be braking just at the start of that sort of really, really dark phase. But you're turning right already, but our momentum is going to carry us round to the outside of the track, so you actually turn in really, really early for this, and it's imperative that you get the nose in by holding the brake a little bit longer, again, like we saw in the first corner. Power on early, and you think you've got a lot of room, wider than I went there to run off, and you're immediately faced with a hairpin. Let's have another look at that again. So remember, we're turning right, our momentum's carrying us to the outside of the track in. Look how early we apex. So we apex back there, and then we almost have a sort of second apex where we're on full power, and it's really easy to get on the power early, and you think there, because you've got this runoff. It's really, really wide. Again, like I said, you're faced with this hairpin, chicane even. You can take it as a hairpin if you want. Very different to GT4, because in GT4 you can clobber these curbs, especially in cars like the McLaren and the Camaro. You just glide over them, whereas in GT3 cars are a lot lower, a lot stiffer, you can't. So you need to brake a little bit earlier, turn in a little bit later. You could go over the middle bit, short shift into seconds, you go over the second half as well. So a little bit different. You need to just take a little bit of composure through that section. So let's look at it again in sort of full time. So throw the car in, to almost turn right into the braking zone there. Use the power to whip the back end of the car around. Get the nose in early here, using that trail braking again just to keep the weight on the front of the car, and make sure you're on the power really early. There's a lot of room on the outside. Turn in later than you think you should. You can clobber the curves a little bit, any more than what I've done there, and you will be in the hedge on the right hand side, looking over some beautiful Hungarian countryside. So again, I actually get a bit of a slide there. I throw the car in almost too much. Look how early at apex there, and then again now when I'm on full power, you can use more exit than I did there. You can go right over that curbing. You can turn in definitely later than I did there as well if you want to avoid that first curve, which is quite a good thing to do in the race. And you're immediately faced with no brake into this left-hander, and I wanted to pause straight away because I wanted to just talk about the ethos of this next little section. So I personally like turning in a little bit earlier than some here, and then getting on the power earlier, because my car tends to be set up with a bit more preload differential to get the back end of it round. Okay, so I'm going to turn in earlier than most, but I'm going to be on the power earlier as well. And what that means is we're just going to glide through this section. Look how early we are here. This is the first frame where I'm on the power, which is way before the apex. And actually it looks like I'm going to go off on the left, but it stays on the inside, which sets us up really nicely for this right-hander. And this is a really difficult corner, actually, and I've paused it on this frame because look how little brake I'm using here. What's that, 25%, 20%, if that? Just to get the weight on the nose of the car to turn in again. Just that little small instance. Again, one of those places I'm pausing on the outside of a corner, because I just wanted to remind you that you've got all of this runoff, because in GT3, unlike GT4 where the cars tend to understeer through here in the next corner, you've got a lot of time to come back over to the right hand side of the track and then whip back to the left. You've got this curb to help you as well, which pulls the front round. And again, another braking zone where we're already turning into the corner when we're under braking. It's two ways you can take this. Okay, you can either dab full brakes like I've done here, just to get the weight down, immediately turn. But then the trouble with that is when you come off the brake, you tend to have this understeer moment. Or you could just a little bit longer, just hold on to the brake, but barely at all, sort of 10%. So have a bit of an experiment and see what works for you. Again, pausing when I'm on the power, way before the apex. Use the differential to pull the back end of the car around, and you can go really wide again there. Lots came at us there. Let's have another look at it again. And remember that ethos, turning in a little bit earlier, power nice and early, remembering you've got a lot of runoff, using the curbs to pull you round the corner as well, especially on this first one. Looks like we're going to go off. Curb just whips us round, sets us up nicely. Just get the weight on the front of the car just with that little dab of brakes. Two methods for this next right-hander: either a full brake like I do there, or a longer, shallower braking zone. Does whatever suits you. Make sure you're on the power early and use a lot of that curb on the outside, because it's going to gain you loads and loads and loads of time. See how tight I keep it through that left-hander. Make sure I'm on the power nice and smoothly here. You've got a lot of runoff to use, so make sure you use it, because it's going to help you straighten the car out and get more speed through this whole section and all the way down this hill into the final one. Look how wide you can go there as well. Into the final complex then, 3 corners to go, lots to think about though. You can really throw it into this right-hander all the way over the curb, and again, Another one I'm pausing on the outside. There seems to be a theme here, Matt. Again, a lot of people don't go as wide as they can on these corners. You've got so much more track to use. You don't have to keep it on the dark stuff, okay? And we're straight into another zone where you're turning when you're braking. And actually, this is a really difficult one. It's extremely difficult when there isn't the bridge there above you and it's not sunny, because a lot of people, myself included, rely on that bridge and adjusting our braking zone throughout a race to know where it is. But if it's raining or if you're at night time, it's a very difficult braking zone to spot. But you're in nice and early. You can either keep the power on like I do here to get the back end of the car around, or you can double apex it like a lot of people do. It depends who you're racing, what car you're in, and what driving style you've got. So I'm not going to dictate what you do there. Nice and early turn in on the final corner. And again, you just wait for that nose to grip, and we're waiting, and then we're on the power to go. So let's look at that again. I'll talk through the last corner better here. So nice and early turn in. You can clobber that curb more than I did there. A lot of room on the outside. You straighten up the steering. You almost want to change into second gear on the green. Nice and early turn in here. You can either keep the power down or V the corner. So left hand side, turn in early, then brake, down into second gear. You're off the throttle, just a couple of bites. As soon as you feel the front of the car bite, then you're on full throttle again. Lots of room on the outside. Please, 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 please use it. And away you are for another lap. So we're in pretty hot conditions here, so we're in the mid 43s, which is absolutely fine in the Lexus. But lots of opportunity to go a lot quicker than that in the cooler conditions. Again, you can see I sort of keep this nice inside line here. You can very much V or U that corner, however you want to talk about it, to get a better run out onto the sort of into the final corner. I use that sort of later apex technique for this one, but you are on the power extremely early using that diff to come round the rest of the corner, and away you are onto your final lap. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm gonna let the lap run. So please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, guys. I know that a lot of you have, but 60% of the people who watch my videos haven't subscribed. So the aim is to turn you guys into people who watch every video, because this is why I do it. I want to help you guys get quicker and quicker, because I get a buzz out of that. I get a buzz out of making these videos with people commenting saying, you know what, actually I found 1.2 seconds a lap from you, and I dominated a league that I was really struggling in or coming sort of mid-pack in before this. So that's the sort of thing that I really like doing. So watch the rest of the lap. There's going to be an overhead video as well, and then I'll see you guys on the next one. Good luck. See you then.